Welcome one and all to Umami Manga. I'm one of your hosts, Petter, and with me I got my co-host, James.
Hello.
And today we're talking about volume 19 of Kaguya-sama Love is War. It's been over 2 months since the last time we talked about Kaguya-sama, and oh boy, I have been looking forward to this. It's my fault that this one's coming out so much later than I guess you would expect. The usual place where I get my books has been really slow with this one. I still wouldn't have had it. Like I don't know when I would be able to get it if I had stuck to that one. But I was waiting forever for it to get it from there. But you know, it just that hasn't happened. So I looked elsewhere after having waited for quite a while already. So that's why I got it last night. I got it and read it for the first time. So it's still very fresh in my mind. As far as like first reads go, I guess that's sort of how James has been for most of this series. To be fair,
I know. It's like the roles have reversed here.
Yeah.
I'm the one having waited like a month or so.
Yeah.
Or maybe was it two?
I
can't
think
remember.
2 months at least.
2 months. Oh, that's right. You said 2 months.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so having reread this, honestly, it was like I was reading another volume again or a new volume again because. Some of the points I had forgotten. I was like, oh yeah, that happened.
Right. Hey, yeah, and that's with me too. Like, because I read these books the first time, as I was reading them the first time once, and then I didn't read them again, either of these volumes again, until we started our podcast. So I also had experiences like that several times as we went through those books. But anyway, one last thing I wanted to mention actually before we get into talking about the characters of this volume is that it related to something from the previous volume, volume 18. Where there was the chapter where they tied cherry stems with their tongues. I have actually tried that since then.
Oh my gosh.
Because I just get really curious, like to try it.
I swear, if you get it done like in 30 seconds.
I wasn't that great. I tried it the first time I tried it. I didn't think I'd be able to do it because it took so long. But after like 20 minutes or so, maybe a little over 20 minutes, I actually was able to tie a knot in my mouth with my tongue.
Nice.
Yeah. And then I tried it again with a different stem, by the way. Like, because I think if you use the same one multiple times, that might be an easier way to just do it. But so I switched stems and tried again and was able to do it in just about 2 minutes. And I even was able to untie the knot, just like Kaguya did. So
ooh,
I feel like I've sort of mastered the cherry stem
thing. You hear that, everybody? Go see Petter for a good time.
Yeah, exactly.
Bring your cherries.
So yeah, I just had to just mention that real quick, just because I thought that was a fun experience. And hey, anyone who hasn't tried it, try it. It's really fun, a fun challenge.
Yeah.
And you can brag about it afterward if you're able to do it.
Or you be like me and just like never talk like you never did it.
Hey, Miko, I think, gave up completely, so she was never able to do it either. But anyway, yes, so let's talk about the characters in this volume. And I think we have to start by talking about Ai Hayasaka.
Yeah.
With this one. So this is, first of all, the third time that she appears featured on the volume cover art.
I know.
She was also on volume 3 and 11, and now the third time on volume 19. And what's so cool about this is that this is the first time that she's not putting up an act kind of on this image. Because on both of the other two, she's kind of like, you can see like her face kind of one half is like one persona and the other is another persona.
That's
kind of.
That's true, yeah.
But this one is just her natural self, which I think is beautiful. And, obviously it mirrors her arc in this volume really well. So I thought that was a really nice touch.
Indeed.
And it was good to know that regarding what we learned in the previous volume about her reporting things about Kaguya to the head family, it was good at least to learn in this volume that she did at least withhold some information in those reports.
Yeah.
Specifically about Kaguya and Miyuki being in a relationship. Like that's obviously like the main thing that she didn't mention to them. So I mean, obviously she spilled a lot of beans over the years, which is not good, but at least not telling them about that, I think was very good of her.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure why she felt that was the one thing that she couldn't say. I mean, I'm glad that was the one thing she couldn't report. I guess it would have been weird if she hadn't reported anything to them. So she was kind of just stuck doing that, but she was able to put her foot down in that aspect. So I
Yeah.
really respect her for that.
Hmm.
I imagine it must have been very hard.
Oh yeah.
And we had discussed, I think, in volume 18, why she was crying there, why she feels terrible
Mm.
at that moment. And I think we had talked about that maybe it was because she was reporting on Kaguya or something like that,
Yeah.
something to that effect.
Yeah. I think we
And
did
I
talk about
guess
that.
we got it right. Yeah,
Yeah.
like that. I was like, woo, nailed it.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
But it's sad that her entire life has been like this, and she hasn't felt like she's been able, or both of them really haven't been able to have that friendship. Um,
Mm.
and so to and I get to this point where we finally understand where Hayasaka is coming from, and the guilt that she has to deal with is important. And obviously, we'll talk about what that means for her and Kaguya's relationship later on. But
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway, it was really nice to see that progression.
Absolutely. Yeah, and also to also get these several flashbacks that we got throughout this volume to their childhood, and like now speaking about it from I's perspective, like how this guilt that we learned about in the previous volume, or at least that we started talking about in the previous volume, and which is very much elaborated on here, it pretty much existed from the very beginning of her working as Kaguya's assistant, as I think was shown pretty clearly by how reluctant I was to get close to Kaguya when they were younger. That we saw
Yeah.
several examples of that. And I think that was probably because of the guilt she felt. Like maybe she felt like she wasn't worthy of getting familiar with this girl who she thought she thought she was really cute and she had a lot of respect for.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I can definitely understand that.
For sure. I like the kind of side plot or subplot that they had going on with Hayasaka's friends, and how
Right.
before we had learned that Hayasaka kind of viewed them as just people she was using, and she felt bad about that. I think you kind of
Mm.
get that sense in this volume.
Mm.
But in reality, her friends feel like they know the real her. Like
Yeah.
they view her as an actual friend, and I hope Hayasaka is able to realize that she does have friends, and that she does have people who care about her, who want to help her,
Hmm.
and obviously that she has struggle recognizing that and reaching out to people, but I think in this volume she's able to understand that friends are there not for benefits per se, but friends benefit from each other. Like
Yeah.
it's not because I can do something for you, it's because I want to be there for you, and vice versa.
Definitely. Yeah, and I think these friends of hers, well, I think they knew her better than maybe I knew they did, perhaps.
Yeah.
Because like when they talked about her with Kaguya, like they express like or they mentioned this very sensitive side that of eyes, like how she cries easily and stuff like that, which I don't think is something that she would have necessarily wanted them to see. And as we talked about earlier as well, like that's probably like that sensitive side of her is the real her that she
Yeah.
usually tries to cover up with her various personas. But the fact that her friends knew of that side of her, I think, shows that they actually do know the real her, and that I think that also proves that their friendship is more real than I maybe thought.
Yeah, for sure. I maybe she wasn't as great at hiding her true self as she thought she
Exactly.
was.
Yeah, I can totally see that.
Um, I'm not sure how far you want me to go with the Hayasaka discussion, because I have some notes from all the way towards like the end of the arc.
Yeah, I mean, if it's related to I, then go for it.
Her hair, like she just
Yes.
chops it off,
Mm-hmm. She does.
and it was like no. Well, one, I was really mad at Unyou for freaking grabbing her ponytail, and I think I think the girl servant did it as well.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. One of his servants did it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, but it's like, don't touch that.
Yeah.
But then she just
That's so. It's so discriminating to like
It really
grab someone by
is.
the hair like that. Ugh, I hate that.
It's like cattle. Like I don't like it.
Yeah, no, no.
And obviously that was the purpose and intent.
Right.
But then she cuts it off, and I respect her for making that quick decision and everything. But
Mm-hmm.
it's sad, like, oh no, the hair's gone. But when we do see her again, she has a new hairstyle. She's
Yeah.
looking great. She's really trimmed it up, and honestly, it looks fantastic.
It does. It does. I actually sort of knew that she would get this haircut because since quite a while back, I've been seeing fan art of her with this hairstyle, just
Oh.
online around various
Yeah,
places.
yeah.
So I sort of knew that somehow she would cut her hair, or for some reason she would cut her hair. So it's nice to actually know now why, and to kind of be past that part in the story, so that it's no longer a quote unquote spoiler for me. I mean, it's not that big of a deal, but at least it's nice to have gotten there in the story now. And
Right.
and related to her cutting her hair like that, I think cutting your hair sometimes symbolizes like the start of a new chapter, like a new beginning, and maybe in some cases even a sense of empowerment or empowering yourself, like
Well, a new resolve.
right,
Yeah,
right,
yeah, a new step forward, symbolize a big change in your life. A lot of
exactly.
the times it's like a stereotype when someone breaks up with their boyfriend or something like that.
True, but
But I think it can be, well, it is used and done sometimes,
yeah,
where someone will cut their hair as kind of a sign that I'm changing myself.
yeah, exactly. And so I think obviously that fits very well with her arc here. Even though it may not have been intentional necessarily, she
Yeah,
initially obviously just did it to, well,
break away, I
to break. Yeah,
guess.
exactly. Um, but it worked very well narratively as well.
Indeed. So where does Hayasaka live now?
Yeah, I wonder.
What is she on her own? But I mean, she probably has enough money saved up to, I guess, live in an apartment somewhere.
Yeah,
But
yeah, she's really rich. Like there was one of the previous volumes where I think we got to see like some of their like bank accounts or something, if I recall,
oh, really?
or like how much money each some of the characters have, and she's like almost a millionaire. Like she's rich as hell, just because she's been working her whole
You saw
life.
how much Hayasaka has? Huh.
She's been working her whole life, and she has never really
R-
spent any money
mm,
because she hasn't had time to. So I think she has an absurd amount of
it makes
money. I
sense.
don't know exactly the amount. Obviously, I like don't quote me on any amounts that I may have said, but she has a lot of money, if I recall. So she could definitely get a place of her own, I'm sure.
Right, right.
If not,
For sure.
maybe she can, or well, her mother probably lives in one of the Shinomiya mansions or something.
I assume that her mother's in Kyoto
Yeah, probably,
with the
probably.
main family. Anyway, so whether she's living on her own or some other instance, uh, she's wearing a maid outfit near the end, and she has that hairstyle too. Like there's a in between, like kind of little illustration of her, and she's talking about the security system in the student council
Oh,
room,
that one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and she's wearing a maid outfit still. So it's like, wait, I thought you were done being like serving that family, or is this a part time job? Like, does she work at a maid cafe now?
Hey, maybe. Yeah, like I mean, that was kind of something she was a little bit interested in back when they
Right.
had that thing at the culture festival. So, hey, yeah, maybe, maybe. I kind of like that idea. I didn't actually really think about it when I saw this image the first time, but yeah, that I think that works as an explanation.
If she's still there at the Shinomiya place, it's like then. I mean, I know what everything that happened was still important, but at the same time, it would be a little uh, redundant, not redundant, anticlimactic if
Mm.
she's still there and just working as a servant.
Yeah, there's no way.
But
There's no way that's the case. I
yeah,
feel.
okay, okay.
I don't know. I just
I mean, if it is okay, it is what it is, and I'll accept it. They have a closer bond now. That's great,
yeah.
but I hope that it's not.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. Yeah, and I feel pretty confident that this is the end of her days as a servant. She's free now.
Yeah, that's good.
Like they were very clear about that, and
No, yeah, very true.
I think that's pretty safe to say that she's not serving anyone. So yeah. Then let's move on to Kaguya herself. Learning that I had been doing all those things behind her back, like giving her, the head family, all that information about her, must have been, I feel pretty confident in saying that that must have been the greatest betrayal that Kaguya had ever experienced in her life.
Yeah, no joke.
Like, that's, like, obviously there's circumstances to it that doesn't make I into a terrible person, but it's still an awful betrayal, especially just learning it initially and not really knowing the circumstances at first, and just that feeling must have been absolutely like a nightmare for Kaguya in that moment. But even still, she genuinely wanted to forgive her, even though it was really, really difficult for her to do that. And I think that was really great of her to actually want to forgive someone who had not only betrayed her worse than anyone ever had, but also having had the mindset that Kaguya had of like, people who betray me can never be forgiven. So like, with all those things in mind, I think it was absolutely fantastic of her to want to try to forgive her, as hard as it was, and that she actually ultimately was able to do it. It was beautiful.
And not only was she not able to forgive those people who she believed betrayed her, she would cut them off,
Right.
cut them out of her life. But here we see that she's willing to forgive and wants to keep being with Hayasaka, being friends, or at least become friends.
Yeah.
I guess in this case.
Yeah, and for me, like, probably, well, I'll say one of the strongest or most powerful moments in this volume to me was when Kaguya just smacked her brother like that on that big
Dude.
image. Like, she just smacked him because he was preventing her and I from settling their dispute. And she, like, just that smack, I got really emotional seeing that because it really showed how desperate Kaguya was to work things out with Ai in that moment. Despite of how utterly betrayed she felt at the time, she was really, really willing to work things out and to get back on good terms somehow, even though it was really, really difficult.
Right. Sorry, my voice is all over the place today.
No worries.
As we talk. Remember how I said Unyou had a very punchable face? Apparently, Kaguya agreed.
Yes.
And absolutely decks him. I did not expect that whatsoever. I was just like using expression when I said his face was punchable.
Yeah.
But to actually have that happen, it was like, no way.
Oh my god, I totally forgot you said that, but yeah, that's so
Go
true.
Kaguya.
Yeah.
That was so great.
Yeah.
I was a little worried that Unyou would retaliate in a very bad way.
Yeah.
I'm glad that didn't happen, but I think it was great for her to just kind of put her foot on the ground, or the fist in the face in this case, and just you stand for a person who is very important to her.
Yeah. Hell yeah. So good. Oh.
I think that whole moment and not only standing up against her older brother, but also wanting to forgive Hayasaka is evidence of how much she's changed. And I think the volume, it talks about this. If she hadn't joined the student council, if she hadn't met Miyuki and accepted her feelings for him, but also grow in her friendships and relationships with other people, I don't think she would have reached this point where she could potentially forgive someone.
Absolutely. Definitely. Yeah, and Unyou even points that out. Like, he didn't expect Kaguya to react this way at all. Like, he expected her... He probably thought that he and her were on more or less the same wavelength because they had a very similar upbringing and stuff like that. But he ended up being very wrong about that because Kaguya has definitely changed thanks to the student council.
For sure.
Yeah, beautiful. Beautiful to see that. Anything more on that scene regarding Kaguya?
Not on that scene. I think I have just one or two more maybe on Kaguya.
So she's a Yutsubame shipper.
Yeah. I mean, I think that makes sense.
It does.
With everything she's been through with helping Ishigami.
Exactly.
I think, it would make sense she would join that ship.
I think so as well. So and like the thing is, the way it was depicted in this volume, obviously we'll talk more about the specific characters and their views on this ship as we talk about those characters, but the way that debate arose in this volume I thought was very interesting, because while I've made it clear since quite a long time back, and I think you as well, we are more on the Miko ship side of things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I can absolutely also, sympathize with the other side,
Oh,
because
totally.
obviously that's more of what you feels in this moment, or at least what we know of. He hasn't actually expressed any affection for Miko.
I see where Kaguya's coming from. I think
Mm,
they make a good couple. Um, and I don't think it would be bad for either person if that were to continue.
yeah.
It will be interesting to see what becomes of this aspect, this new like shipping thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
I love how she gets in a fight with Subaru about who knows I better.
Yeah.
It's very cute.
Yeah, that was
I,
funny.
I mean, Kaguya's like she can't say that they are friends or anything more than acquaintances, but she's like, no, I know her better. I love
That's
that.
so Kaguya. Like she was very like, well, she contradicted herself a lot
Oh yeah,
in those scenes with those
so
two girls. It was
yeah.
that, and then it was also the thing at the beginning where she said like, "Oh, like the relationship between a man and a woman doesn't have to be romantic." But then, yeah, when she saw I with Miyuki, it just completely changed. It was really funny.
Platonic relationship with men and women don't exist or something like that.
uh, yeah, great Kaguya.
Yeah, good, great moments.
Uh-huh.
One of the rumors that, and now for a moment that's maybe not so funny and kind of sad.
Hmm.
One of the rumors she heard growing up was she's the product of an affair,
Right.
and I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, we don't know.
But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised knowing what we know of her father.
Yeah.
It's an interesting aspect that I didn't think we knew before, right? I think
Yeah,
for
yeah, I don't
me,
think so either. Yeah.
I
Mm.
kind of had assumed that Kaguya's mom was just the main wife, and that most of the well, when we heard found out that she had siblings, that all of them were had the same mother. But I guess that's not the case.
Yeah, right. Because apparently only the two oldest brothers have the original wife as their mother, and then
Yeah.
Unyou has someone else as well. So he and Kaguya are a little bit of like kind of outsiders in a way
Hmm.
in that regard.
I mean, no wonder she hates rumors. I mean,
Yeah.
it started from like a young age where she was hearing that kind of stuff.
Right. Yeah. Damn. So are we moving on?
Yeah, I'm done.
Then let's talk about Miyuki. He noticed Ice cry for help at the start of the volume, or rather, kind of at the end of the previous volume, when he saw she had let out her hair to make her more easily
Hmm.
recognizable to him.
Of course, he would notice.
Yeah. But I thought it was a nice way, kind of he got to make up for earlier in the story where he kind of failed to notice her cry for help during the karaoke thing they did together.
True.
He didn't really pick up all the pieces then, but he did this time, and he was definitely able to make up for it and then some. I think in this book.
Yeah. I mean, I don't blame him for not being
No,
able to pick
for
up
sure.
on it. It's
He couldn't even pick up that Kaguya wanted to hold his hand in volume 15.
well, okay. You got me there.
uh, but he doesn't feel guilty about asking people for help, because he's always prepared to help others in need himself. So I love that mentality of
That's
his, where
true.
people helping each other, uh, always being like an option in his mind. I think is a beautiful mentality that I think a lot of people should, or everyone should think like that. Everyone should be ready to help others, and also not be afraid of asking for help.
Yeah, it's a very good lesson.
Hmm.
And it's interesting because despite being as obsessed with his studies and making sure he's top in the class and working as hard as he does, he says this, and I'm like, wait, is he one to ask for help? I mean, in some cases, I guess he's kind of reluctant, like with maybe some of the things he struggles with Chika. But I guess he did ask for help at some point. But the time that I think about is the cultural festival where he has the whole heart plan. He
Right.
actually goes around asking people to do certain things.
True.
And I didn't think about that. Yeah, he's very willing to ask for help.
Right.
I think he kind of blackmailed them or her, not blackmailed them, but kind of twisted their arm to do so. But yeah, it's a very nice lesson.
Absolutely.
That's all I have on Miyuki. I don't have much.
Oh, really? Okay, then I have a couple other things. As the student council president, he doesn't want to choose a side in that whole shipping debate thing.
Can't blame him.
No,
Can't blame
absolutely,
him.
absolutely. But that also conflicts with him also wanting to support Kaguya, obviously being her boyfriend. So that was a little. It was an interesting little internal dilemma there. I don't know if it's gonna
Yeah.
be like there's gonna be anything more on that. I'm obviously there were some things with Miko that we'll talk about probably during our Miko discussion in a little bit here, but
Uh-huh.
I think I have a feeling maybe he might side on the Miko thing, perhaps maybe. Although I don't know.
Yeah. I guess maybe like drama is important, but at the same time, I hope it doesn't get stupidly messy with Kaguya supporting
Mm.
the one ship and Miyuki on the other side.
Yeah.
But we'll see. At the very least, I can't see Miyuki not supporting Miko at this point.
Yeah, I feel like because they've had this thing going now with the junior and senior classmate chapters, where
Right.
they've started to build a bond together. So I also have a hard time seeing him not siding with her. But we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm really interested to see where that's gonna lead. But speaking of that chapter, at the start of it, he said to himself, or he thought to himself that he would take kind of the roundabout route to figure out if she likes you. And
Yeah.
then I flip the page, and the first thing he says is, "By the way, are you in love with anyone?" Like roundabout right my ass.
It's like
God
it,
damn.
it's like he had an idea of how to get to that point, but then he got so excited he skipped a couple steps. And
Exactly.
it just
Yeah.
went like-
Totally. I thought that was really funny. So not so smooth, but it worked out ultimately in the end. So it was great. And my last thing on Miyuki was that also during that chapter, he seemed very skeptical toward the sutra mantra activity thing that he was starting to do with Miko. At first he seemed very skeptical to it, but by
Mhm.
the end he seemed to genuinely be enjoying it. Like he seemed to really actually have a good time and see some actually profound things in it, which I thought was awesome. And it was also an improvement from earlier in the story when they did poetry together the first time. Like he didn't seem to ever really get super into that. He seemed to mostly be doing it to kind of, I guess, get to learn Miko a little bit more. But this was something he actually started to enjoy toward the end of that. So I thought that was really nice to see, like something that these two characters can bond over.
Hmm.
So yeah, I guess that's it for Miyuki.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's move on to Miko Ino. She's in so much pain.
Oh gosh, it's bad. It's really bad.
Yeah, and they've been throwing us hints toward her feeling like being in so much pain for several volumes now. I feel
Hmm.
in various ways, but luckily I think something else that we've also kind of gotten to understand about Miko is that she does a lot of the time she has some pretty good methods to distract herself from the pain or otherwise soothe her negative emotions,
Right.
through different means. She's been listening to those that the heartbeats in one of the
Yeah.
recent volumes, and listening to like hot guys talking to her in an encouraging manner, and elephant
Yeah.
sounds and whatnot. But and then in this book she did the copying sutras by hand, like that's
Hmm.
relaxing to her. So like she has various little things that help her out to deal with this pain, which I think is at least good, all things considered.
Yeah. It's healthy that she has ways to calm herself down, but it also is kind of her maybe not addressing the issue, or
Yeah,
hiding her feelings away and not addressing them.
true.
And I guess for some people, maybe that's how you cope. I'm not gonna shame anybody for getting over something like that by just putting your mind off it. But
Mm,
I think she's still really hurting even after doing all that, and
true.
I just I think having someone to talk to, and or at least being honest about her feelings, which it seems like she is here towards the end with Miyuki,
Uh huh.
that could really help her going forward, in understanding her feelings, and maybe not hurting as much.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like yeah, 'cause at long last she really opened up to someone, and
Yeah,
because she's been bottling all these feelings up inside for so long, it seems.
right.
And I've been very anxious to kind of to see her opening up to Miyuki, especially ever since we started getting these senior and junior classmate chapters, because it seemed like it was going to lead up to something like that between her and Miyuki. And
Hmm.
we did really finally got that toward the end of this volume. She even asked him for help, and I'm really proud of her for being able to finally do that, and very excited to see where this is going to lead.
I can't wait. I hope. I know it said like the next volume will probably be more about the YouTube sensation
Oh,
that is Shirogane Dad, but I hope the next volume does touch on what or how Miyuki's going to help Miko. I know you can't rush things, but I want to know.
yeah. Oh, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Like I really value Akasaka's sort of slow pace that he's been going through this series
Yeah,
pretty much the whole time. But yeah, obviously, I'm also super excited. Like I can't wait to actually get to some of these
yeah,
juicier
yeah,
parts.
yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
I think it's it's actually kind of sad that there's moments where you can see her holding the keychain heart,
Yes.
like when she's talking to Kobachi,
Exactly.
and she's really thinking about it.
Hmm.
And I just was thinking, because when she's telling Miyuki about her feelings, she says how much she hates him, and yet she it feels this pain in her heart.
Yeah.
And so I was wondering, was it really that moment where she fell for him, or had it been happening before? Like, I'm not quite sure.
I'm pretty sure it's been building up for a while.
Right? Okay.
I'm
I,
pretty
I
sure.
like I wanted to think that, but then I remember that moment with the heart keychain. I was like, oh wait, is that supposed to be the trigger? And I know it's very important, but
Hmm.
I want to think that her feelings have kind of somewhat been there, like kind of dormant,
Yeah.
but it wasn't until recently that it started to really come up.
I like to think so as well. I think obviously she's in conflict with herself over this because, like, as she says, like she has a certain type that she likes,
Mm-hmm.
but she also clarified and said that she won't necessarily fall for someone who checks all of those boxes, and she might not even
Just somebody who
fall.
checks none of those boxes.
Exactly, she might fall for someone who checks none of them, aka you. And it really seems to be that way. And I think that's a very true and wise assessment on her part to,
Yeah.
well, firstly to kind of make that statement. But yeah, it's interesting kind of because it definitely is conflicting to her, I think, because he's kind of the opposite of what she considers to be her type. Yet she has these feelings for him that she can't control, and I think that's
Mm-hmm.
true. That's love in a lot of cases. You don't necessarily choose who you fall in love with, or maybe you never do. It's
Yeah.
like it just happens. You can't really control that kind of thing. I think that's really interesting. And actually, as you touched earlier on how she kind of expressed her sadness at the end to Miyuki. Like the way she described that, I thought was amazing. She said, "I felt a sharp sting in the back of my nose and my heart hurt." The heart hurting, I mean, makes sense, but that's not the part of this quote that I guess I thought was special because heart hurting is like that. That's I guess
Right.
and anyone who's in love can say, "Oh, my heart hurts," or whatever. But with the other thing she said, like, I felt a sharp sting in the back of my nose. I thought that was such a great detail because that's the type of sensation that I know in my life. I've taken note of it several times when I've been feeling very sad and or when I've been very close to crying. I have felt this sting in my nose kind of, but I don't think I've ever actually heard anyone else talk about it or like make note of it in any way until now in this volume, where Akasaka is incorporating it into Miko's description of how she felt during that moment. So I don't know. To me, that's just a really cool way to describe that. That to me is unique because I've never seen it before, and it's also relatable because it's something that I've definitely taken note of many times in my life. So I just thought that was a really cool kind of description of that.
Agreed. I reread that line a few times just to understand it or to like take it in because I thought it was an interesting perspective
Yeah.
that yeah you don't really ever see. So I guess more on the lighthearted side when she's playing the card game,
Yes.
she really puts what's on her mind out on the table.
Clearly.
I guess that is on par for her, but it was just funny that in a game where you can make up any word you want, she chooses these specific words. But I guess she was just doing the ones that came to her mind.
Exactly. Yeah. Date, inquiry, senpai, and pain. Definitely all related to like the Miko Yu Tsubame love triangle
Exactly.
in some way.
Right. Something that I noticed that could be just a coincidence,
Huh.
but the letter that's on top of the pile when she has her last card is me, and the last card that she has is Ko. Miko.
Oh, that's really funny. Oh my god.
I don't know if that's intentional on his part
It totally could
or
be, I think. But
yeah, that's
re-
weird.
regardless, that's a really cool catch. Nice.
Either way, like she wasn't able to finish the job.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll talk about that later, I assume.
For sure, for sure. And she did end up apologizing to you eventually. After he apologized to her too. But she was like interrupted by Chika right as she said it. So
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone heard it, but she did do it at least.
No, she did. Yeah, I'll admit I was a little bit upset about Chika. Well, Chika like interrupting that apology.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, no, not now.
Right.
You're adorable, and I love everything you do, but not right now.
Yeah.
Let Miko talk.
Exactly. Whew, yeah. Great moment. And later in the chapter with Miyuki, she sort of out of the blue admitted to saying, or she said that she knew that Miko and Kaguya were dating.
Right?
Just kind of out of nowhere. And what makes that even more, or to me, what made that even more kind of random was that pretty much right after she said it, she just carried on the conversation like nothing happened. Like damn.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's like she. I guess I think it's a nice change of pace in a way because maybe not everyone at the student council, although definitely Chika, but a lot of students at the school are very obsessed with the idea that Kaguya and Miyuki dating, that would be so cool. Like ever since chapter 1, literally, that's been like a thing established. Like several students being obsessed with kind of shipping these two, the student council president and the vice president. But here we have Miko, who doesn't really seem to care that much. I mean, I'm sure she supports it and is happy for them.
Oh, sure.
Absolutely, but she doesn't make that massive of a deal about it, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And also the fact that she figured it out somehow. I think that's pretty cool too.
Right? Like so I read it, I was like, wait, did we already know that she knew? Or is this the first time that we found out that she knew, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I don't remember seeing her.
Like, it wasn't anything with Kaguya, right? Like, where they... Because I know Kaguya's talked to a few people, and they found out that they were dating.
Yeah,
But
not...
Miko wasn't one of them, right?
No, I think it was just Maki and Kashiwagi.
Okay, that's right. I think maybe I was thinking of Maki. I think that's what it was.
Right. Yeah, but yeah, Miko, there hasn't been anything prior to this. So, yeah, I was also surprised.
Yeah. So, maybe it will just... The whole realization that these two are dating will just happen over time. But,
Right.
You would think that Ishigami and Chika would figure it out. Like, You would think it's right in front of their
At
faces.
least you. I'm not so sure about Chika, because with these two
Chika, no, okay, no,
specifically,
no, 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 no. Hold up,
with
hold up.
these two characters
She,
specifically, I think she's more oblivious than she
okay,
usually is.
yes, that is true with these two characters specifically. But she is so good at sniffing out love things, and
Yes.
she was able to figure out who you liked
Uh
and
huh.
everything. I think that yeah, for some reason she's just completely dense about this.
Yeah.
So both of them are just dense about it. So it'll be interesting. But
Yeah.
I'm glad Miko was able to figure it out because it's just so dang obvious at this point.
Yeah. Seriously. Oh man. So yeah. Do you get anything more on Miko?
I don't.
Sweet. Then let's talk about Yu Ishigami.
I don't got anything on.
Nothing at all.
No, I don't.
Interesting. Okay, then I guess I'll bring up a few points here. His words during the game were not as obviously related to things related to that as Miko's, but his words were chastity, high-handed, unathletic, always late, and you lose. The you lose part was probably just the fact that that's how he had the one he won the game with, so that one probably wasn't really
Right.
related to anything. But the others, I was trying to find kind of reasons for those words just because we had the Miko words. And I think in a way you can maybe apply those to him because they're sort of adjectives, most of them, that sort of describe him. Chastity, definitely, with him and Koyasu. And high-handed, absolutely, with him toward like Chika and Miko. Sometimes, especially toward Chika. Unathletic, I wasn't as it was a little harder for me to figure out because he's mentioned that he used to be in some sports team when he
Yeah,
was younger.
I think he's athletic.
Yeah, I think so too. Especially also, it was also I think made rather clear in the sports festival where he didn't win in the race, but he closed the gap pretty well because he got like he started after the guy he was racing, so and yeah, he definitely closed the gap there. So he is a fast runner. However, one thing where I could argue that he is unathletic, because I was like desperately trying to find a reason to make this work, was from the arm wrestling chapter, where it's made clear that he and Miko, those two characters specifically in the student council, are the two that are below average arm strength for their respective genders.
Oh yeah.
Everyone else, Miyuki, Kaguya, and Chika are all above average strength, but
Huh.
you and Miko are not. They're below. So unathletic in that sense, I suppose, could be applied to both him and Miko. Although athletic really is such a broad thing, so it's kind of hard to say.
True.
Always late was also a hard one to say. I guess since he maybe doesn't really always give a damn about school and stuff, maybe he's often late to things school related. I don't know. But anyway, I guess that's all I had to kind of speculate on
Gotcha.
for that. Battle 189, Kaguya Shinomiya's Impossible Demand, Buddha's Stone Bowl,
Yeah.
is something I'd like to touch on here.
Enlighten me.
Already, obviously, we had, and actually, again, in this volume, we had the cowrie a swallow gave birth to, which I've pointed out before was a reference to the Tale of the Bamboo Cutter being one of the items that the Princess Kaguya demanded from her suitors, because she had 5 unwanted suitors, and she gave each of them a task to bring her a specific thing. One of them one of them had to bring her that cowrie born from a swallow, and another one had to bring her the stone begging bowl of the Buddha. So
Okay.
this just another one of those 5 items that Princess Kaguya from the Tale of the Bamboo Cutter tasked these suitors to fetch for her. And I'm not entirely sure how to bring or kind of how to link that specific item to this, because we were able to kind of draw a line from the cowrie born from a swallow. With you mentioned that tsubame means swallow in Japanese, so there was a line to be drawn there. And this stone bowl of the Buddha, I'm not as sure of kind of how that fits in, if it does, but it is at least also similar to the cowrie born from a swallow, also like one of those items. Do you have any ideas there by chance?
Oh, no idea. I mean, I would have to know more about that story
Mm,
with this Buddhist stone begging bull,
mm, mm.
and how that goes down. Is there anything more to how like the suitor does he find something? Does he ever come back
I
with
can't
the
remember. No, or well,
or with a
none of
fake
them
one or something?
none of them are able to actually find these things because they are impossible to get.
Right.
I know that one of them brings back like a fake of whatever they were tasked to get. I can't remember which one that was though, if it was this one or if it was one of the other items, because there were five of them and I can't remember all of them exactly.
Because if it's this one,
Uh-huh.
like if it's the stone bowl, then you could argue that the relationship that's right for Ishigami is actually not Tsubame, and that's the fake one, whereas the other one is actually the real one. But that's
Maybe.
kind of a stretch.
I mean, potentially, at least if that is this item, which we can't say for sure right now.
Right, that's true. It may
But
not be the-
if
no,
it
you
is,
idiot! It's the anyway. Sorry.
if it is, then absolutely maybe, definitely maybe. So one other thing I had on you, I think the fact that we only got to hear a little bit about his dates with Tsubame, like we didn't actually get to see any of it, that sort of makes me suspect that their ship isn't Endgame. Like that's
Yeah.
one of the things that kind of makes me feel that way because Tsubame, she just hasn't gotten enough focus lately to justify a long-lasting relationship with any one of the main characters.
And when she does get focus, it's more kind of personal because there has been some character growth
Yeah.
with her, but it's usually not with another or other characters, or at least main ones. Even Ishigami, aside from the Christmas party, hasn't had too many moments with her compared to Miko
Yeah.
or any other guys.
True, true. Yeah, like exactly since volume 17, like volume 17, 18, 19, she hadn't had that much to do. But anyway, that's all I had on you.
I actually had another thought just now about what the stone could represent, or the stone bowl could be.
All right.
Maybe because it's just another impossible task. Maybe it's towards Miyuki in that he has the impossible task of choosing which side to support.
Maybe, honestly, perhaps. Could be.
Again, another stretch, but that's what you get for naming the title something cryptic like this.
Yeah. It's fun to talk about though. I'm always on the lookout for these references to the Tale of the Bamboo Cutter. I think it's a lot of fun.
It is. Yeah. Thank you.
But moving on to Chika Fujiwara then.
Okay. Of course, I have stuff on Chika.
Of course. I think
Of course I do.
I have two things, I think.
I like how Chika helps out Hayasaka and Miyuki. She's so willing to help even without knowing the details. Like on the phone call, she mentioned, "You better tell me what's going on," but she's, still helping out. I really appreciate that about her.
Yeah.
She may have gone a little crazy with some of her excuses, but still,
Yeah.
great friend.
Yeah,
And
totally.
then I guess this is more on the funny side, but third wheel Chika, like she totally interrupts
Ah,
Miyuki and Kaguya's date.
Yeah,
She
that
goes
was-
kind of third wheel.
that was
But
great.
at that point, how did she not say, "Wait a minute, what's going on here"? Like, how did she not just put that together?
I don't know. She's been with them the longest. She's been with them from the start. Like
It's true.
she has been there at least 2 volumes longer than any other character. Yet
Yeah.
she's probably the furthest away out of the student council members to figuring it out.
Is she in denial? Is she just, oh, there's no way that these two would ever get together? Of course not. Like, does she not want it to happen? Like, I don't even know. I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna talk about it anymore.
Right. Right.
I think she enjoys watching people suffer. I think that's a
yeah.
line from Miyuki.
Yes.
And he's not completely wrong. I think she likes to see people uncomfortable in like games and stuff like that. Like she likes that. She relishes that.
Totally.
But actual suffering, I don't think she enjoys.
No, for sure. There's a difference there. And hopefully we can say the same thing about her younger sister.
Well, I think enjoy may not be quite the right word in that aspect.
Yeah.
Close, but not quite right.
I will say that Chika rescuing Ai by desperately having to go to the bathroom was brilliant. Like
Yeah.
that specific save, and like at
Mm-hmm.
the moment, it just seemed like a random Chika moment, but as we saw like a few panels after that, apparently it was like intentional. She actually did that on purpose to help Ai out.
Mm.
So that I thought that was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. It was kind of a catch you off guard kind of a thing, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so that was really nice of her.
Yeah, I think perhaps to me the most important thing that we learned about Chika this volume was that she is a Miko Yu shipper.
Yeah.
I thought that was great to have her on our side.
It's true, and I think again when we were discussing this before, I think we were kind of touching on it that she could tell there was something going on between those two,
Yes.
and that's why she was kind of egging Ishigami on. And it's like, oh, you just need to be nice to her, like she'll melt in your hands or whatever, that whole thing.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's nice to have that confirmation, and
Mm.
again, she's such a sweet person when she's not playing games that
Yeah.
she wants to help Miko out. She wants those two to be happy. She wants to see them keep fighting because it's fun.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I think she says that at one point.
she does. She's not that good at debating like her points.
Yeah.
Like the points she makes aren't necessarily the brightest. But hey, her heart is in the right place.
It is. Now, going back to the chapter with the cards, Ishigami says, "When have you ever helped me?" to Chika, and
Yeah.
obviously he doesn't know about the report or any of the stuff that she did with the student council to help.
True.
So I wonder if that kind of hurt her in any way. But she didn't say anything. Unless she either it didn't come into her head or she still respects Ishigami wishes to not talk about that.
I mean, at least while she didn't reveal that to him, at least she definitely got upset at him for saying that.
Yeah,
She wanted to
yeah.
challenge him to that game and stuff like so. She got out her anger that way somehow.
Right? I really hope Ishigami. I mean, I love Ishigami, and I think he's a great guy. I hope he understands. I mean, not just Chika, but what the whole student council has done for him.
Yeah,
Besides just Miyuki.
for sure.
I guess Chika's the biggest one though. He literally said, "When have you ever helped me?" Which is it's not true,
Yeah,
but
yeah. He needs to find out at some point.
yeah. And that's all I have.
All right, then let's move on to talk about Unyou Shinomiya for a bit. Well, we saw him in the previous volume a little bit, but it's made very clear at the start of this volume that he wants Ai's secrets and he tries to force her to start working for him. It's kind of his goal starting off. And he remarks about all the bugs on the mountain when he gets there to where Miyuki and Ai are. And I thought that was a really nice callback to Miyuki's fear of mountain bugs from one of the very earliest volumes.
Oh,
At least I think it was intentional, because that was a pretty big thing there. But his
I never put that together.
like he didn't want to go to the mountains because there's bugs in the mountains. I thought that was pretty neat. Well, we talked about some of the similarities, I guess, between Unyou and Kaguya earlier, but I thought that was really interesting to kind of see how Kaguya might have turned out if she hadn't found the student council
Right.
in him, because they have very similar upbringings and stuff like that. So I thought that was interesting.
Unyou is obviously not a great guy,
Hmm.
and he's probably done some shady stuff.
Yeah.
But I think that he's a product of the Shinomiya family, the clan, and I mean, obviously he has consequences for the choices and everything.
Yeah.
But you do kind of, especially towards the end, sympathize with his situation and how he's kind of clawing his way up from the bottom, just similar to how kind of Kaguya's position is, and just their whole family situation is just messed up.
Totally. Yeah.
So, while he has a very punchable face and what he does is deplorable, I think that he gets a little more sympathy from me in the end.
Yeah.
Not complete sympathy, but a
Right.
little
Well,
more.
totally. And I agree with you 100%. And it's also mentioned in his bio that we got between two of the chapters here that Kaguya thinks that he's a decent person compared to the two older brothers.
Yeah. Oh
So
gosh.
like I'm a little bit terrified of actually meeting them.
We now know the name of the oldest, Oko, right?
Exactly. Yeah, that's right. That's right. So that's neat.
Unyou had a similar relationship with now Hayasaka that Kaguya and I do,
Right.
uh, and they could have maybe even been friends and had a great thing going between them.
Hmm.
I'm not talking romance or anything like that. Just
Right.
friendship.
Yeah, yeah.
But I guess because of Oko, that all came down and he felt betrayed, and so he just cut ties completely. So
Precisely.
so it could have happened that way for Kaguya as well, if not for the student council.
Exactly. Or if Oko had gotten to I first.
Well, technically he did.
Well, okay, sure. But more specifically if he had like right now in this part of the story where I think she was specifically vulnerable right here. If he had showed up instead of Unyo, for example,
Hmm.
like things could have gone much worse potentially.
Makes sense.
Although we can't know for sure. But yeah, that was interesting about now kind of their like her past with Unyo was interesting to learn a bit more about that.
Yeah, did not expect that.
No, for sure. And another thing about Unyo is apparently he doesn't think very highly of himself since he refers to himself as a good for nothing
True.
at one point here. So that's also kind of sad. Like
Yeah.
for like another one of those little reasons that make me sympathize with him ever so slightly.
Hmm.
So I think really, I don't think he's a threat from this point on. I don't think that he is a man of his word. We learn like I don't think he's going to play an antagonistic role anymore moving forward.
Yeah.
I think the two older brothers and the father are much more of a threat from now on.
If anything, Unyo might assist Kaguya in some way. It may not be in
Yeah,
a like crazy amount of help, but maybe he'll protect Kaguya somehow from the older siblings. Who
exactly.
knows?
Right. So yeah, I think that could be pretty cool. Cause he yeah, as we've said, like he doesn't seem to be all bad.
Right.
So that's cool. Anything more on Unyou?
No.
Let's move on to Kobachi Osaragi. Finally, she admits straight up that she is a Yutsubame shipper.
The truth comes
Yeah,
out.
we pretty much had it figured out already, but it's nice to see it
Right.
on the page.
They have footage of her taking the notebook. Uh,
Exactly.
that's interesting. I kind of want to see the actual footage just to know when she took it and how, because I don't know, because like I said before, she was literally walking with Miko when they saw Tsubame and
Mm,
Ishigami,
yeah.
and then they I think they even heard some gossip again. I'm not sure, but then Miko is in the student council room and Osaragi's not there. So
Yeah, sure.
maybe she came back at a different time and grabbed it because it's never locked. So that could
Right.
be it.
Yeah, because based on the interaction between Kobachi and Kaguya in that chapter, I got the feeling like Kobachi went there by herself to get the book. Like
Yeah.
it seemed that way. Obviously, doesn't have to be, but it seemed that way to me. But I definitely, as I said last time when we talked about Volume 18, I really liked your speculation there on how it may have gone down with her and Miko. But uh, but yeah, at this point, I don't think that's how it went down. But still, that totally could.
So basically, Miko could potentially still be in the dark
She could
about
be. Yeah.
that whole incident.
She could be. Although I also still like to think that maybe she sort of knew from the start, potentially somehow. Although
Mm-hmm.
we can't know for sure. So I'm
True.
excited to see, or maybe to learn more about that as the story goes on.
Right. Right.
While they were debating the ships in that chapter, when they did that,
Mm-hmm.
one of Kobachi's arguments was that Tsubame is the same type of girl as Kyoko Otomo,
Yeah.
which was nice to see her being brought up again
Mm-hmm.
in this volume, and that her point was basically that being rejected by both of them, both of these being the same type of girl, that would crush Yu's heart. which is a fair point, I suppose, except for the fact that we don't know that Yu necessarily had romantic feelings for Kyoko.
Right.
In
Exactly.
fact, I think the way he explained it in like his like as he was kind of narrating his backstory, if I recall, I think he even sort of made a point out of that he didn't really necessarily have romantic feelings for her, but he had a lot of respect for her. Like she was a very nice person, something along those lines. So
Right.
it wasn't. I don't think it was romantic. So I think that fact sort of makes Kobachi's point there invalid, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's like even though they know the truth, they're still under the assumption that he had feelings for her. And I guess one could argue that Ishigami was in denial, but I think you got to take Ishigami's word for it.
Yeah,
Although they haven't heard from his mouth himself the whole situation, I guess.
for sure. Yeah, I agree. And last thing I have on Kobachi is that we learn, and this is actually something that surprised me a little bit, that apparently a lot of the girls in the school dislike her and even hate her. She used the word hate, which I had no idea about. So I just wondered why. Why could this be? Could it be that they're jealous of her beauty,
I
or
think that's exactly what it is.
you think so?
Like, well, jealous of the beauty, but because all the boys fawn over her, and so I mean,
Yeah.
I guess that's kind of a stereotype in writing where the the beautiful girl gets all the guys, so all the girls hate her, and so she doesn't have very many girlfriends or whatever.
Right. I mean, fair,
Um,
fair. But yeah, that definitely could be it. I'm just really intrigued by this now, since this was just revealed, sort of, and I feel pretty confident that we will maybe go into her backstory a bit, or at the very least,
I hope so.
at the very least, give her more focus, to get to know her better and to get to know her. Well, her situation better and to see her eyes better.
Yeah, please. I was actually more so surprised with the fact that she empathized with Ishigami.
Oh.
I didn't realize that was her kind of motivation for wanting to support him, at least partly. Um, I just thought she, you know, didn't didn't believe the rumors or thought differently. I didn't think there was actually some sort of empathy coming from her. So that was an interesting reveal for me.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I hope we understand why she empathizes with him. Like, why do everyone, or not everyone, why do the girls not like her very much? Or hate
Right.
her, I guess.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I would love to get more information on that. Anything more on her?
Nope.
Then let's move on to, I guess most of the other ones are more minor characters in this book. Let's start with Rei Onodera very slightly. The only thing I got here is that, well, obviously she's a Miko Yu shipper. She's on the right side of the debate.
Of course. And she's been that way ever since Christmas Party. Like
Right.
she was there looking at them. She's like, oh, okay,
Mhm.
I get what she wants.
Yeah.
And she was being her wing woman
Yeah.
through the whole thing. So yeah, Rei Onodera.
For sure. Yeah. I guess there isn't anything more on her here now.
No,
No. Then let's talk about Daddy Shirogane next.
became a YouTuber.
He became a very successful YouTuber.
Didn't see that coming.
Yeah, yeah. And the streamer, like I don't know if he only streams or if he also does videos, but at least he
Yeah,
streams.
good question.
But yeah, like, and he's been doing that for the last several months. It's really interesting.
I wish we had that kind of success, or I had that kind of success. Yeah, it's
You know why we don't? It's because we don't have the same clickbaity thumbnails that he does. Like his
True.
entire YouTube channel is so clickbaity. If you like that was I thought that was so funny to see that, like even the channel name and everything on there, like the thumbnails, the names of the videos, everything was just so clickbaity and hilarious.
yeah,
He knows how to.
it's true.
He knows how to do that. He knows how to work it.
Right.
I mean, to be fair, even though he uses some clickbaity tactics, he does seem to give his fans some pretty good advice, which is sort of the selling point of his
Yeah.
that's kind of his gimmick there, like giving advice to his fans, and he seems to do it very well. So I think he deserves what he gets there. It's great to see him doing something that brings him joy like that. Anything more on him?
Nope.
All right, then let's talk about his daughter Kei Shirogane a little bit. Obviously, there's not too much.
No.
She walks in front of the camera for money.
Oh god.
So that's
Why
kind
is this something that would happen in real life? Like, I feel like this is totally just these weird people who would girl goes by, oh, pay money.
yeah.
Like I don't know.
It's a weird world, man.
It's hilarious, but I feel like that would really happen. Maybe
I
not that
agree.
much money, but still.
Right, maybe the amount of money is a bit of an exaggeration, but still, yes, it absolutely would happen. Like 100%.
Or at least they would simp over her.
Absolutely. Oh, totally. Totally.
She's in middle school, you sick punks.
Yeah, but I guess that's it on her.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Tsubame Koyasu next.
The Christmas party plan was not her idea, apparently.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the party was, but the plan to get into that situation with Ishigami was not her plan. I kind of put her decision there in a new light because it just seemed off with what I thought her character was like to just go with it like that. But to have it be one of her friends' ideas or plans makes more sense.
Yeah, it was fun to see kind of her friend group. We'd already met Yume Atembo, like the occult club president.
Yeah,
We'd already met
good
her.
night.
But it was fun to see like her little friend group, like to see kind of what their little friend group dynamic was like and stuff like that. Even though it was just a very little taste of it, it was still nice to see that. Because she has become definitely a prominent enough character to make us want more from her and to make us want to see more of what her life is like. So I thought that was this was one of those little things that was fun to know a little bit more of. But she is still unsure of in what way she likes you, and I'm thinking probably the answer she got from Daddy Shirogane might have helped her out in some way. Although it's hard to say exactly which direction it took her.
Right, yeah.
So that remains to be seen, I suppose.
Oh, I just think that choice of hers to do something about the truth she learned in the planner is an interesting one. Like based on her decision to how does she, what kind of like does she have for Ishigami? What does she want to do with him?
Yeah.
It's interesting that choice would lead her to wanting to talk with Otomo, which was such a big reveal. I was like, what?
Yeah, exactly. Calling Kyoko Otomo at the end. Yeah. And it was really cool how she was name dropped earlier in the volume. So she was...
it was a good setup.
It was a very good setup. And then like the final page, sort of, she was right there. And yeah, this is very exciting now because bringing Yu's backstory back into the forefront sort of in this way will be super exciting because that's, I think, a lot of people's favorite, or a lot of people probably has that like way up there and like one of their favorite parts of the story. So yeah, it's gonna be, I have very high hopes for this coming volume or volumes.
I'm excited for her to learn the truth. I think
Yeah,
people living in ignorance is not always the best thing.
absolutely.
But maybe for some it is. I don't know. But either way, it'll be interesting to see where this goes.
Yeah.
There may be some drama involved, and that's why I wonder what is her motivation, Tsubame's motivation with all this. Does she want to do it because she just wants to be seen as a friend for Ishigami? Does she want to be seen as an enemy, kind of not an enemy, but not a lover? I don't even know. I don't know how this is.
Right.
What kind of plan this plays out to be, and I guess we'll find out later on.
Related to how she feels about you, I agree. It's hard to say like why she's doing this.
Right.
I don't think I necessarily thought about it in those terms exactly. I guess I just sort of thought that this is the right thing to do in her mind. So she wants to set things straight, or well, she wants to inform Kyoko about the truth, and she thinks she deserves the truth because apparently these two sort of knew each other. They haven't been talking for quite a while, evidently, but at least they have known each other. It's pretty clear. So she just
Right.
I just think she wants to make the truth clear to her.
Yeah, but I don't think it's not related to her whole
No.
coming to grips with how she likes Ishigami.
True. Yeah, yeah. It would be great if it was, and if it's somehow, yeah, if it's tied to that somehow. Yeah, yeah. It's super exciting. This definitely has me very excited for volume 20.
Hmm. For
uh,
sure.
yeah, and Tsubame is going on another date with you this coming weekend, and I hope we'll at least get to see that one since we didn't get to see the first date.
Yeah,
So
come on.
please at least show us this one.
Well, Chica's now aware of the dating situation, so
True.
who knows if she'll try to spy on them.
Yeah.
Maybe bring Miko along with her.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that'd
Oh
be bad.
that would be great, I think. that would be that
I
would
mean, yeah, yeah, sure, pain.
like with those two characters spying together, I think would be a lot of fun just because they would contrast each other so well with
Totally.
Chika just being this wild card, super excited and happy and like bubbly, and then Miko just being there like kind of like a Maki situation, just being in constant pain seeing the boy she
Hmm.
loves together with another girl. Or maybe not loves. I don't know if that's too strong at this point. At least she really likes him. She wants him somehow. Anyway, yeah. Anything more on Tsubame?
I don't.
All right. Then is there any other character that you want to talk about? I know there's a couple minor ones, but I don't think there's anyone that I
Right.
specifically feel like I need to talk about.
Um,
Do you have any?
I'm just gonna give one shout out to the Mizusu. That's a hard name. Miz, Misuzu and Subaru.
Yes,
Uh,
yes.
I think they're. It's surprising how great friends they are. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they like to gossip, but they'll never gossip about their best friend
Yeah.
behind her back,
Mm-hmm.
and they'll gladly do it in front. I don't know. I just like the vibe that they bring. Um, you know, it
Yeah.
just shows that because I don't know. I felt like because they were somewhat kind of popular-ish girls, kind of maybe.
Well, yeah. I think because they hang out with I when she's in her popular schoolgirl
Right,
persona, so they're probably popular. Yeah.
right. So I don't know. I guess maybe I didn't have the the highest hopes for them, but they're very sweet, and
Mm,
I think it goes to show that don't judge a book by their cover.
absolutely.
Um,
Totally.
yeah, just Hayasaka has friends.
Exactly.
She needs to just accept that they
Uh-huh.
care about her.
Right. And I really think things will start looking up for her from this point on. At least it
Really happy.
definitely seems that way. You know, she's
Yeah.
free. She's free, and she has started to learn to be herself. And I think
Yeah.
that's fantastic. But anyway, since you mentioned those, I'm just gonna mention one very quick one. Also, mostly
Oh.
just a shout out. My girl Maki Shijo. I just gotta. She appeared on a little thing in this book where she was just kind of
I saved that for the comedy because I
inside.
thought it was
Oh,
so funny.
I see. I just thought it was yeah, it was really funny. Like she's still obsessing over somehow getting together with Tsubasa through these weird methods.
She's so cute though.
She is. She
She's
totally
popping
is.
out of there.
Yeah. I love it. But yeah, that's all for the individual characters. So let's move on to the relationships, and let's start with Kaguya Shinomiya and Ai Hayasaka. We've talked about in previous volume discussions. We talked about sort of their sisterly bond between these two characters, um, but I think it's always been kind of restricted by their master servant relationship.
Yeah.
Like it hasn't like even though they've definitely had a very cool nice relationship between each other, it hasn't been able to fully thrive, I think, because of the servant master relationship. And that being said, though, I think the several flashbacks throughout this volume that I mentioned a little bit earlier, it really showed how much admiration and respect these two characters have for one another.
Hmm.
And that always has been there really from the very beginning. And now that their master servant days are over, I'm sure, like completely confident that they will have a very easy time becoming like the best of friends.
Oh yeah. No doubt.
Considering how much they've been through together and how much alike they are,
Hmm.
I think things will like between these two characters will from now on be very very great.
Yeah, after this volume, I kind of feel bad for all the times I compared them as siblings, or like Hayasaka was acted like an older sibling, and in a way that kind of was.
Yeah, I think it still was there to an extent, I think.
But I think that was oversimplification and not
Mm,
understanding,
yeah,
what was really going on,
true.
um, and how restricted their relationship could be.
Mm,
Um, Now, granted, they had those quiet moments in her room to get, well, quiet, maybe not the right word, but they had those moments together uh, in her room, and
yeah.
they obviously very close, and Kage relied on her a lot.
Mm,
Um, but I think now we can finally see, as you were saying, that relationship blossom
yeah.
as she's free away from that kind of servitude, and now they can just be friends because they admire each other.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, it's beautiful. Like, yeah, man. I loved how that all went down in this book so much. Like
Right.
their talk and all that. I also thought leading up to that scene, I wanted to meet Kaguya at the place where she felt like their relationship had begun.
Yes.
Uh, but apparently the two of them had sort of, well, they had experienced these different moments that they had together in different ways. So that made it hard for Kage to figure out the location because different moments were important in different ways for the two of them, which makes sense.
Well, it's just hard, and it's hard to remember, hard to
Mm,
recollect, like some places, especially since they kind of grew up in Kyoto. So
yeah,
it it's yeah, so pinpointing the right place was difficult. But I like that kind of journey they took
yeah,
in reminiscing the past, and those flashbacks. I thought it
totally.
was a very nice way of establishing their relationship
Mm,
and moving forward. I thought it was great.
absolutely. Yeah, and it was also interesting how because the moment that I was referring to that they had shared as kids on that mountain was a very important moment for I, but for Kaguya it was a sad moment. So
Hmm.
like it really is a matter of perspective, and that obviously did make it harder for Kaguya to find her way there. But yeah, it was really good, really good.
Yeah, and I liked in what way it was sad, because it was sad because she felt like she had imprisoned Hayasaka in a way.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
you have to be with me because I ordered you to.
right, right.
But for Hayasaka, she's like, I would do anything for you, and I
Mm.
feel bad that I am betraying you, but at the very least, I'm happy to be with you. So I love it.
Yeah, yeah, it's so good, it's so good, and how that was where at least um in Ai's mind, that was where their relationship had begun. It was in a way also where their new relationship began. Like their
Yeah.
like the one that is more real, even more of an actual like friendship, also started right there. So I thought that was also nice, kind of how the story kind of rhymed with itself, even though this was all in the same book, but it was still really nicely put together. Uh,
Hmm.
and like their conversation there that they had was so great, really emotional, and I thought it was really big of Kaguya to apologize to Ai, even
Mm,
though she obviously still felt very hurt by what she
right.
had just learned about being betrayed that way. But she was still able to apologize very genuinely to Ai, and as well, I thought it was very big of Ai to be able to open up like that to Kaguya by confessing how hard it had been for her and how afraid she had been of Kaguya ending up hating her. So it was
Hmm.
really a really big moment for both of them, and they both developed and like grew as characters a lot in that scene, and it was so great to see that.
It was. It was very touching.
Yeah. Anything more on that scene? Otherwise, I have one last thing.
Well, one I like. I just love the callback, or the the origin of the scrunchie that I always wears. It's because Kaguya gave it to her. I love that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
so great.
Totally. That was beautiful. And how I wears it on her wrist now that she doesn't have that long hair anymore.
Yeah, that's great. Just about when Kaguya first heard of Hayasaka's betrayal,
Yeah.
and I guess this is more of like a props to Akasaka in that usually in these kind of stories, the stereotype is, "What are you talking about? I knew all along, Baka." Like,
Exactly.
don't be all worked up about it. Like that's the norm. Well, not normal, but the typical.
Hmm.
I think feel like anime resolution.
For sure.
But in this case, she genuinely trusted Hayasaka and was genuinely hurt.
Mm.
So I thought it was a great way to go about it, and
Yeah.
a real way to go about it.
Oh, yes.
Because I think we do trust people wholeheartedly. It depends on the person, but I think some of us will trust people wholeheartedly, and to have them betray us like that
Yeah.
is hard to accept.
Absolutely. Yeah, like betrayals from people, like the more you trust the person, when they betray you, that it makes it even harder, even rougher. The more you trusted them before they betrayed you. So
Mm-hmm.
this must absolutely was absolutely terrible for Kaguya, but she was she was able to ultimately understand Ai's situation, and I think that helped her feel, well, maybe not as betrayed. Obviously, she still felt very betrayed, but I think it did help her ease her mind a bit by being able to relate to Ai.
Right. Ironically, it was Hayasaka who kind of set that whole "you must never forgive people who betray you"
Exactly.
mentality. It's kind of it's kind of digging her own grave there.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
Yeah, I really like that. Definitely interesting.
Yeah.
So in that scene, there was a crescent moon in the sky during the entire scene on the mountain.
Oh yeah.
Like all throughout, like ever since they got there, the first time were with Unyou, and also when Ai and Kaguya were talking by themselves by the water, there was always like a
Mm-hmm.
crescent moon in the night sky. Which, if I'm not mistaken, the crescent moon can at least sometimes symbolize femininity or female empowerment in some capacity.
Oh really?
If I'm not mistaken, I like, don't quote me entirely on this, but this is what I think I've learned at some point in my life. And if I am right about this, then I think that, well, works very well with this scene, because it's really about that, both for Ai and for Kaguya, in various ways, which I think is very cool if intentional and if true. And also, like, I was also paying attention to the moon, of course, because the moon
Right.
is an important thing in the story.
Totally. Yeah. I saw it and I was like, oh okay, whatever. Like I was like, oh I wonder if that means anything. I'm too lazy to look it up.
Yeah, I think this is pretty cool if this is what it's supposed to be. But yeah, that's all I had on Ai and Kaguya.
Yeah, I think just the last thing I'll say is I think in the end they got the relationship that they deserved, that they dreamed
Yeah,
about having.
exactly.
Um,
Yeah, Kaguya even says
and
that.
right, it's just so pure. I love
Mm.
it.
So yeah, very beautiful. So let's talk about Miyuki and Ai next. What I thought was great in the beginning of this book was how they were both of them started to be more open with each other finally.
Uh huh.
I mean, obviously, it's something that I had been struggling with more than Miyuki, perhaps. But she was able to open up, and she revealed all the secrets that she had been telling Miyuki in the past volumes. So she just laid all of that bare and told the truth, which was awesome. And Miyuki was also open and honest with her in a way where he expressed how upset he was at her for having lied to him.
Right.
So I think that was also something important to kind of get past, because bottling up your emotions is never a good thing. I think Miko Ino is doing that, or has been doing that a bit too much. I think, as we said, this volume may have been a turning point for her, hopefully with opening up to Miyuki. But anyway, Miyuki doesn't do that here. He doesn't bottle anything up there. He actually expresses his, how upset he was about that, which is really cool. And as they're on the run, Miyuki helps Ai understand kind of what friendship really is, and we've all already touched on that, kind of how she learned to understand that better. But it really came from Miyuki, I think, while they were
Right.
running away together.
Completely. Yeah, I think all their encounters have led to this moment where she felt like she can. He's really the only person she could reach out to and rely on.
Yeah.
I mean, it's sad that that's the case. Not to say that Miyuki is a terrible option, but you would hope that she would have other like parental people in her life where she could reach out to, but she just doesn't. Not to say her mom is terrible, but her she can't really reach out to her mom in the same way.
Yeah.
It's a little bit sad that Miyuki's the only one she can reach out to, but thank goodness it's Miyuki because
Mm.
I think he helped, kind of.
Oh no! Right. While on the mountain, he maybe didn't help that much
But I think
as
he
was
helped
pointed out.
her. He helped her mentality
Mm.
in terms of asking for help and friendship and whatnot.
Absolutely. Right. I mean, prior to this, in previous books, he's helped her out at
Yeah,
least on two major occasions, and in this book too, he helped her out also in a major way on the way to the mountain. It's just once they got there, he didn't do that much, but before they got to the mountain, he did a lot of really great things. So yeah, it
yeah.
was great to see that.
That's all I have.
Sweet, sweet. Then I think that's all for our characters and relationship discussions. So let's move on to the comedy, our final part of this episode. So the comedic bits. Well, I gotta mention the word chain card game. We've already talked about it, obviously, a bit,
Oh
but
gosh, I love it. It's so
whenever
fun.
Chika suggests a game to play, it's bound to be hilarious, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And what made me laugh the most, I think, was, all the dirty words that prevented Miko from winning. That was just so good. And
I just- Well, I love that. I love that. But at the end, when she like Chica gets super angry, it's, okay, that's it. You're going down,
yeah.
and she's not afraid to use those words.
Yes, she has
Take this.
she has no shame. Like she probably won that game by purely doing
I hope so.
bad words. uh yeah, so good. Oh, and the motorcycle grandpa was so cool.
Miyuki wanted to ride the bike. He wanted to look cool. Come
Right.
on.
Yeah.
Kaguya calling Hayasaka a female cat in heat.
Oh my god, yeah.
Goodness.
Very typical Kaguya moment.
Oh, I love how one of the examples, or when she's thinking about how Kaguya relied on her, or was it Kaguya thinking about she relied on Hayasaka? Either way, there's a couple like flashbacks where they're younger and Hayasaka's like, men only think with their groin.
Oh
And
yeah.
he's like, wow, you know so much.
Yeah. Yeah, it really goes to show how oblivious Kaguya has really always been until sort of recently about the world
Yeah.
in general.
And then the part where she brings up the underwear, it's like, I'm not weird for asking that, right? Like, did we ever? Is that a conversation we've seen before?
Didn't we? I think when Kaguya was trying to figure out what kind of underwear Miyuki was wearing, and she
Yeah.
asked him.
I meant with the conversation with Hayasaka.
Oh, yeah. No, I don't think we ever saw it from that perspective. No, I don't think so.
I can't believe she even brought it up, but I guess Hayasaka is the only person she could vent to.
True. That was great. And speaking of colored underwear, someone that was watching Daddy Shirogane in the chat was asking what color his underwear was.
Really?
Yeah.
I totally missed that.
I thought that was also a really funny reference to that.
Wait, where?
It's somewhere in that last chapter.
I see what color is, but then the rest is covered by text.
Yeah, and then I think flip to the next page. I
Oh,
think
there it
you see
is.
the
Yeah,
full
what
thing.
color is your underwear?
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Wow.
That's awesome. And as we also mentioned a little bit earlier, we learn in this book that the student council chambers has at least 6 security cameras set up in the room. This means that all of the various shenanigans that's been going down in that room throughout the story has been recorded on film.
Oh my gosh, I didn't think about that.
Imagine that, like especially various things between Kaguya and Miyuki, especially recently.
Does Ishigami know?
I
That-
I wonder who has access to that.
Because he literally changed in that room.
Oh, you're right. That's right. He's probably done that several times too.
Oh gosh.
That's true.
Well, let's hope they don't keep
Oh my
the recording
god.
for long.
Oh no. Yeah, because I wasn't thinking about Ishigami. I was more so thinking about like recent stuff between Kaguya and Miyuki since they got into a relationship.
True.
When Kaguya was like
True.
being all clingy on Miyuki when he was trying to study or doing things, and afterward he was like all he wanted to get down and dirty with her,
Right.
in some way.
That said, Hayasaka has access to the security footage now, so maybe she also is able to,
Mhm.
delete some things.
Oh yeah, yeah. I didn't think about it that way, but that's true. And also like her seeing those things is probably not that big of a deal.
I mean, she may get a little jealous or a little
the
upset.
The information is safe with her though, So,
Right.
but yeah, yeah, that's great. Uh, Something else I thought was really funny was Miko thought that Miyuki was into her, and Miyuki thought that Miko was into him at one point in that chapter with them, which was also followed by, I thought, a really funny thing by Miko when she said, "Maybe you're my type, Shirogane. What do you think?"
Yeah.
And I just
Miko
love her
teasing Miyuki.
the way she delivered that, like her smirk when
Mm-hmm.
she made that joke, was just so funny.
I loved that. I was like, ooh, nice. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just is really cute to see that. I
Totally. Yeah,
guess.
really cute, really funny. And also to see something like that from Miko.
Right.
Like seeing Miko make a joke isn't too common. Obviously it happens, but it's not that common.
Well, it shows how comfortable she is with Miyuki, and
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
she knew he wouldn't take it, any sort of way or something like.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I like that a lot.
Totally.
But guess in that same chapter, Miko has this really scary looking face, just kind of it's almost like blank.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, her eyes become huge,
yeah.
black.
Yeah.
It's like she's possessed. So anyway,
Yeah.
that was scary.
Yeah.
I have a couple more things.
Yes, yes.
One is the just really random screenshot of the pillow fight at the Kyoto place.
Oh, yeah,
I
that's
don't know.
right.
It's like, oh man, that would have been great to see.
Yeah.
I would like to see. I mean, Chika looks in there. She's like, she's like, yay! But I don't know. I feel like Chika would have been like, you're going down.
Yeah, maybe she started being like yay, but then toward the end of it, she was probably a bit more intense.
Do you even pillow fight? Like, you don't even know the war, the tactics of war. Anyway, hopefully a pillow fight comes up next time. We'll see.
Yeah, that would be great.
And then lastly, it's just the shipping wars. I did not expect
Yeah.
that to be a thing, but it's here, and I love it.
It was so
I
great.
can't wait to see. Just I hope that all sorts of shenanigans come from these two factions, just battling each other, arguing with each other, or like
Yeah.
trying to get one person with Ishigami. I can't. I hope. Please let it be hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah, this is definitely something. I think, well, for me right now in the story, the thing that has me the most intrigued and that I'm the most invested in is definitely, well, this thing related to Miko and Yu and Tsubame. Like this side, because there's always kind of several stories in a way going on at the same time, sort of
Right.
in various ways, but this one is definitely the one that has me the most interested right now.
Totally.
Kay trying to stop her dad's viewers from wasting all their money was really funny.
That was great.
Just
Stop, you degenerates! You degenerates! I mean, she should have said that, but maybe they would have got really excited about that.
yeah, probably. Oh my god! And the last thing I wanted to point out as a funny thing is the under the covers gag in this book.
Oh yeah.
Which was like just the letter to the future 170,000 years from now.
Bro, this is like a cry for help. Like, is Akasaka okay?
Yeah, right. I worry about him.
Jeez.
That was great though.
Yeah, it was funny.
Anything more on comedy?
I'm done.
Sweet.
I've exhausted all of my thoughts on this volume.
Yeah, me too. This was great. I had a blast talking about this volume. And I had a blast reading this volume too. I think volume 17 and 18 to me were great volumes, but maybe not as good as some other volumes have been. But volume 19 for me was like back to the peak Kaguya-sama volumes for me,
Yeah.
for sure.
For sure. I think especially volume 18, while it was good, it was setting up this
Yeah.
volume.
Oh, totally.
And it really paid off.
Yeah, it really, really did. So, a little bit about maybe potential predictions, and I have one thing that I wanted to touch on regarding that. And this is something we've talked about before. It's Valentine's Day. We've mentioned this as a prediction
Ooh, yeah.
for something that should be coming up very soon at this point. And I've actually been doing some research into like where we could be in the calendar and stuff like that right now. So
Mm-hmm.
I reckon we're like no more than a week away from February 14th at this point, like by the end of this volume, because they got home from the school trip on Saturday, February the 4th. We know that from volume 17, I think. And that was also the date that Yu and Tsubame went on their first date, or the one that they've been on so far.
Right.
So right now we pretty much have to be in the school week that spans from the 6th to the 10th. So like the school week after that weekend. Is pretty much where we pretty much got to be right now, I think. And Yu and Tsubame are going on their second date this weekend, as from at least that's the plan. So that's got to be either on the 11th or the 12th. And then we got Valentine's Day coming up on Tuesday the 14th. So I feel pretty confident that all of that could be covered in the next volume potentially.
It could be, or it could be prolonged into volume 21.
Absolutely could be. I just feel like since it's probably no more than a week away, it's
Uh-huh.
it's pretty likely for it to be covered. Definitely not guaranteed though, but yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
very likely.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what happens. Do you think that that's going to be a major turning point in this whole shipping wars thing? Or do you think or do you think that's going to be March instead
Exactly. March 22nd
or whatever it was?
is the
Yeah.
date we're waiting for, right? I think
Mhm.
because I think the culture festival was on December 21st to the 22nd, if I recall.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
So Miko would have received the heart on the 22nd because that was the last day of the culture festival.
Yeah.
So March 22nd will be 3 months after that. So that's when she can claim that heart. So I do think ultimately that whole thing is going to be probably resolved around there. So
Mhm.
for Valentine's Day specifically, I honestly have no idea. I'm sure we'll get something sweet between Miyuki and Kaguya.
Yeah, for sure.
But other than that, I'm not sure. Do you have any ideas?
I think it'll be. I'm pretty confident it'll be safe for March 22nd. I think that's such an important date that
Mm-hmm.
it would kind of be anticlimactic if that ends up not being a thing.
Right.
So I think that Valentine's Day. I I don't know. I think if anything, we may get Tsubame being a little. Um, Maybe that's when you start seeing Tsubame not being as willing to date Ishigami. Although I don't think she'd be playing him though. I don't know. We'll see.
No.
We'll
Yeah.
see.
Yeah, it's interesting because I also feel like if, assuming, March 22nd thing is going to be somehow crucial for you and Miko in their
Hmm.
potential relationship going forward. If that will be the case, then I feel like you needs time before then to let go of Tsubame and to and to sort of develop more feelings for Miko, or at least to discover those feelings, or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
So
Good point. Good
so
point.
if we're taking that into consideration, then you might be right. Then maybe this upcoming weekend date or on Valentine's Day or around there, perhaps there will be some kind of end to you and Tsubame's thing. Perhaps,
Hmm.
although I really can't say for sure, but obviously, but maybe.
Yeah, it's interesting. I guess we'll see, but it just depends on how the whole thing with Otomo goes down. You know.
Right. Oh yeah, that whole thing for sure. Yeah. That's gonna be.
Ah, that better not happen on
Oh.
Valentine's Day. Like, what a bummer for Ishigami. I mean, granted, it's just a day of the year, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I say bummer because I don't know how well he's going to accept the fact that Chief knows. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Because he was very adamant about really keeping that a secret from her. So
Right.
yeah,
I guess we'll see.
we will. It's super exciting. I cannot wait for Volume 20. Super stoked.
I think it comes out August 8th or I may be pulling that out of
Somewhere,
my butt. I
sometime in August at least. August 3rd.
ah dang it.
So
Well, the first week of August.
yes, yes. So at some point, probably relatively shortly after that, we will have our volume 20 discussion done. At the very least, I can guarantee it won't take as long as it did with this volume. I can guarantee you that. So yeah, awesome. Wonderful volume, wonderful discussion. If you enjoy our content, you can follow us on Twitter at Umami Manga. And if you like this episode, please share it around with anyone that you think might enjoy it too. And as James, I think, pointed out when we recorded a recent episode of something else, we also would like maybe to ask our listeners, if you're listening on any other podcast platforms, podcast apps, to give us a review or a rating, or however those platforms work, would be lovely. And if you're listening on YouTube, give a like, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel, we kind of have everything structured in playlists and stuff. So I personally, I think our YouTube channel is kind of the ultimate umami manga spot. If you really want to kind of get into our content. Yeah, please follow us and whatnot. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time, where we'll talk about Volume 20. Bye-bye.
See you later.